Got more unfinished projects.
What you want? What you want?
Trying to get past all this unfinished stuff. Quite a while back I did a video on how to make a skull. Anyway, that skull video, it turned into taking that blank skull and making this zombie head. Different ideas on what this is going to wind up being. It's either going to be like a guy in a toe pincher coffin, or he's going to be a stand-up zombie where I just have to make a base to set this on, put some pants on it, and drape a shirt over this. I do got a piece of conduit that goes up through here, so I can attach it to, you know, a base if I want to stand him up, or even oops, or even if I do the toe pincher deal, I can slide a piece of rebar up in this, and the bottom of the toe pincher could have wood on it and hold it how I want it. I'm going to do like a little rib cage thing on this. It's going to be super simple, super fast, because I plan on putting a shirt over this. And because of that, when I put arms on this, I'm not going to glue the arms in here. I'm going to make them removable, so I can put a shirt on, stick it back on, stick the arms back on. I'll probably drill a hole or something in here where I can pin it and make sure the arms stay on. If it's standing up, whatever. I just want to be able to get a shirt on this thing. I'm basically just going to do this, I guess, day by day and show you guys progress each day. That way there's more stuff for you guys to watch. You can follow along if that's what you want. Right now the focus is going to be, I'm going to get this head up here and glued in the spot, and then we're going to work on the rest of the torso area. I'll glue these in. I'm not going to worry about the arms right now. They'll come later. Positioning the head is one thing. You know, if he was going to be a groundbreaker, I'd probably make it where he looked up. If he's going to be in a toe pincher, even if I have it looking down like this, it'll still be okay, because the coffin will be kind of laid back, and you'd be over top of him, walk by, see it, which would be good. And then even if I make him standing up, he'll still be looking down. So positioning the head, I think, is going to be more of a downward angle, and it'll work for either or, depending on what I want to do with him once we get this part all done. I think that's a smart move. It gives me more options. I need to glue these on. They're not glued on. You need to kind of get these based out. I think I have one down, so one arm's kind of like this. One arm can kind of come out. Even if I do a stand up, one arm can be here, and the other arm can be like, you know, this in front. But at least that way, if I do it in a toe pincher coffin too, this arm can come down. If I want to do that, it doesn't have to be super detailed, because it could be high, it could be hidden behind the wood. This arm can come down to the elbow and then bend and come out. So it gives me those options to play with depending on what I want to do. Okay, so the next step, really, I'm just going to glue this thing, hot glue it onto our PVC. But I want to talk about something real quick. Because always Mache and waterproofing and things like that, always a big issue and questions that people got. There's a lot of different ways to waterproof your Mache, and I try, and there's other products. I got a product outside. It's a aluminum roof coating for trailer houses that paints on, and I'm going to try that stuff here in the future. I haven't tried it yet, but I think it'll work. Anyway, when you get into doing stuff like this, right, we got a lot of thin detail. We layered up a lot of cotton balls and stuff on that last video. It creates all these nooks and crannies and things like that, and back in, you know, in this area, that really make it impossible once you layer it up like this to get back in there and really seal that stuff off. I mean, even if I try to spray in here, there's going to be areas where water's going to be able to get to. It's going to seep in, you know. So this piece is going to be vulnerable. When we're all done, I'll do everything I can to weatherproof it or whatever. But this particular piece will be very vulnerable. So if I know it's going to rain a lot, I'll probably wind up pulling him, taking him inside, and making sure he doesn't get real wet. The best way to have fought against that water doing a piece like this, when the skull was just blank and we had a jaw that wasn't hooked up yet and just a skull, at that point in time, it would have been smarter to have put in a layer of weather sealer on that piece and on the jaw, get that stuff all sealed up first, then put it together, then put this stuff on here, so that you would have had just better protection. Just doing them this way, where you really got these open, these open holes look cool, it adds so much detail. You're not going to get a piece like this 100% waterproof. It's not going to happen. It's just part of it. Best thing I can suggest is when you got a piece like this, and you know you're not going to be able to get in there and seal everything up, and you're working with Mache, you know it's going to rain or something, put it inside. Bring it back out after it's done raining. That's about the best thing I can tell you. Got tons of stuff that's lasted a long time, but weather's hard on this stuff, especially when you leave things like this that look good, but really hard to get in there and seal, and hard to make waterproof, so you wind up with issues. Just is what it is. All I'm really going to do is pick a halfway decent position on the head that I want, and I'm just going to fill up the gap with hot glue until it holds. Alright, so that thing's hot glued into place. I don't really trust hot glue as a real anchor point, because if it gets hot, it gets weak, changes, it misshapes, that type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put like a layer of Mache around this hot glue, from hot glue to the conduit, and let that stuff just set up. All I'm going to do is bulk that up for strength so the head doesn't move later on in the future. And we're using cotton balls today on all this. We use cotton balls for the face texture on this. If you go back and watch that video on how to do the zombie head, it's all done in cotton balls. Everything on this is going to be done in cotton balls, keep that same texture. I like the way cotton looks when it's all said and done. So, especially if you're doing like zombie work, it really makes some good decaying flesh detail. Now it's going to get crazy fuming in here. Just going to glue these pieces on real quick so they don't move on me anymore. And that's just PVC cement. I know that's electrical conduit, and I didn't use any primer. You don't need to. Just going to glue it into place, hold it there. When we get everything on it too, it'll be extra strength. So there's no point in going overboard with that crap. So I'm going to work on detailing out like a little rib cage here. We'll get some collarbone structure coming across from here, and then start running some ribs down and around, all with the cotton balls. And if you do cotton balls, it's messy, really sticks to your fingers. It can be frustrating at times. Just stick with it. Good luck. And also you got to remember that the paste I'm using is just glue, wood glue and water. When this stuff dries, it really shrinks down. So I'm going to put a few layers on here. I might wind up having to come back and put a couple more on there just to make them look a little more pronounced. But here's a real problem, it's a problem because I am about trying to make things accurate. On a real rib cage, the top ribs that come around are much smaller. So the rib cage actually starts narrow here and then widens out a little bit towards the bottom, right? It makes kind of like this, almost like a wishbone style shape. And when I made this base deal, I had different ideas of what I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do. So it's going to make this very inaccurate. But for a yard prop or whatever, I think it'll get the point across. I don't know. I'm just going to go with it and see what happens. It's better if your anatomy is much more like real anatomy. I'm working with what I got and what I've already done. I'm not going to redo this whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some rib design pieces in it. Before you guys hammer me in the comments that, hey, that doesn't look like a rib cage or it's not the right way. I know. I'm just dealing with what I got right here. Don't look like much right now. Really, honestly, it's okay. I'm going to continue this around the backside, but it's going to be all right. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I'm not building this to really have it exposed like it's an exposed skeletal rib cage. I'm going to skin all over this thing. I just want a base down here that looks like there's some ribs underneath. That way, when I skin it and paint it, it looks like he is decayed enough that you can see the ribs poking through. I'm going to do the same process, just carry it around the backside and put a little spine detail in it. And then really that's going to have to, it's going to have to set up and dry before we can do much more with it. Because this stuff's really kind of spongy and gooey. May be able to start doing some flaring on the neck, some skin coming down with it being like this. I don't know. Sometimes you're better off quitting while you're ahead type of thing. That's the biggest thing with Mache. You have to have patience. You're not just going to knock something out in a day or two. You've got to put some things on, let them dry, see how they look, and then go from there. Let me get this stuff wrapped around the backside and we'll see what we're going to do from there. We've got all this worked around on the backside. I'm not going to do any more to that right now until it dries. Like I said, it's going to shrink down quite a bit. And I'll probably blotch this up a little bit more, make it look more like a spine. And I'll probably even have to put one more layer around these ribs just so they stick out a little bit. I think I'm going to go ahead and do some work on the neck here and get this stuff pulled down, get some detail on that, get that on there and let that start drying out. And that'll probably pretty much finish it up for today. If you put a little glue on top and some on bottom and get that to attach, and you can brush it on and it holds better. Sometimes if you dip that solid in glue and try to put it up there, it will pull away because it's too heavy. So we're probably going to run that route. This is an easier way to do it to make sure it sticks. Put a little bit on. Once we get some in here and it gets dried up, then we can go back through and add more layers where you really just drop this in the glue and put it on because it's got something for it to grab a hold of and set there. So I'm a simple man, don't want a complication. Alright, so went ahead, we got some tendons up in here. Even have tendons around on the back side. So I'm going to go ahead and do some tendons to the shoulders and around the front. And then we're going to set and let this thing dry. And that's going to probably be as far as I'm going to be able to go today on this. So let's get this wrapped up, see how it looks, and I'll check back in with you guys here in just a second.
I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate ya, complicate ya. I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate ya, complicate ya.
We got some tendons on the shoulders there, right? On each side. We got a rib cage going on right here. We got tendons built up around the neck. They'll probably do some more. We got some tendons on the back side here, and well, we got kind of looking like a spine. More than likely we're gonna have to do another layer, especially around the ribs. So when I skin it, that those ribs pop out, and you can see that in the final product. So this is where I'm going to leave you guys on this one. I really appreciate all you subscribers. If you haven't subscribed and you do like the content, subscribe, like it, and then I guess there's the bell indication on there. Click on that. That way when a new video pops up, you can see it. Also, if you want to show some love and help support the channel, you can go to my Patreon page there. You can show some love there. If you want to, that's awesome. There's going to be some content that is going to go that way that only Patreons will be able to see, but I'm still going to be doing stuff all the time for everybody. So big shout out to Les Olson, my first Patreon, who has come along at the $5 range. Yeah, appreciate that a whole lot. Really helps me out. Glad to have you aboard, and glad to have you checking out the videos and watching that. And there will be some stuff. It's not there right now. It'll be there for you guys to see that are on that $5 level. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. This is going to be kind of fun as it goes along, and it should turn out pretty cool. Until next time, keep making something from nothing.